What's going on, folks? Curtis Wilkerson and Scottie Bordelon of Natty State Sports coming to you with a Monday episode of the Pod at the Palace. Scottie, my man, the Hogs, they took another loss over the weekend at Mississippi State, and I know there's really no room for moral victories at this point in the season, but, I mean, it certainly felt like they played pretty well, I guess, especially considering they were shorthanded in Starkville.
Yeah, definitely shorthanded. I mean, it was kind of tough news, here during the pregame radio show that Jalen Graham wasn't going to play.
I was worried about that.
He's been like one of your three or four best players in league play. To not have him, that put a lot more pressure on Kai. Like Kai delivered, but it was tough to not have what I think he's your second leading scorer in SEC play. Tough to not have that.
Yeah, that's not ideal for sure.
I think that's something that kind of skips right past people. It's like, Jalen Graham was like, who cares? He's your second leading scorer in league play.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And then especially when, you're also down Trevin Brazil, which can we just maybe agree at this point that he's probably not coming back? I mean, I feel like if you're close at all and you have another guy in the front court go down, like if he was going to come back, it was probably going to be Saturday.
Right.
Man, he's been out so long now. I don't know if I see.
Yeah, he's been out since he's been out 6 games in a row now.
Yeah,
hasn't played since the Kentucky game. I mean, what is there for him to come back for?
Exactly right. Yeah,
I'm a little bit surprised, like that we've still kind of seen him around.
Me too. And I think that's probably what's given me a little bit of pause and just signing him out for the season.
Yeah, like maybe
because
one
he
of
is
these
around.
days he'll come back.
Yeah,
who knows?
But that's weird. And anytime Muss is asked about it, it's, there is no update. He's still sore or whatever. So yeah, I'd be surprised if we see him back. Hope we do, because I like watching TB play. But at any rate, he was gone. Jalen Graham was gone, and so it really put Arkansas in a position against a pretty big physical Mississippi State team to have to play small. And I thought that they handled that well. Outside of the obvious, which was getting killed on the glass there. But hey, I mean, I thought Kai and Chandler Lawson did a really good job on Tolu Smith and Jimmy Bell on the interior. I thought, for the most part, I was pleased with the way they played. It's like Muss said, like, the fans, the players, the locker room, the coaching staff, like everybody's frustrated that they lost that game, but if you watch that game and you thought Arkansas didn't play with effort, energy, and enthusiasm, then you don't know ball. Like that's exactly what he said to Chuck, which is awesome.
Yeah, you're pretty miserable. Which I mean, I kind of get it. Watching this team all year, it's been kind of a miserable year, but that's the effort that we've been, looking for, in almost every game. Like they brought it against Missouri, but whatever. They were underdogs by 12 points on the road.
Yeah, man.
And my first thought when that line came out was, State's probably going to cover that. And so I was like, Arkansas will probably compete today. And then they did. So had a chance to win it. So, I mean, that's a large improvement over a vast majority of the road games.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you mentioned that Missouri game, which they controlled that one from start to finish on the road. The other 5 road games, they lost all of them by double digits. And most of them by more than just double digits, like 20 or more. So there was a point there, I guess about midway through the first half, where I thought, man, this is about to get ugly here.
Yeah.
But to their credit, man, I thought they made some really good adjustments. Like, early on in the game, we kept looking at each other going, like, how many times is Arkansas going to get beat on a baseline cut? Just get backdoored. This is crazy. But then they made some adjustments. They started switching some things. They started running that zone a little bit.
Yeah, liked it.
And they were connected, on the defensive end of the floor. And really, a lot of the shots Mississippi State was making, I thought, were just tough shots, like just guys getting physical and absorbing some contact and finishing in there. And then Arkansas was, I think they found something that worked in that middle pick and roll with Kai, and they were getting it to him, and battle got going, and by the end, like they damn near ran out of players. It reminded me of the game at Missouri last year, when you looked up and like everybody on the team was fouled out, and you had, freshman Pinion was out there and Graham, who wasn't playing, was out there.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
And it was like just a collection of randomness on the floor. It was kind of like that at the end of this game.
Yeah, for sure. And it was tough not having KB out there. And then, T-Mark and KB are 2 guys that you probably don't want fouling out of games.
Yeah, ideally.
Especially when it gets down into crunch time. I thought Caleb Battle, like he scored his most points. He had 18 most points since Abilene Christian. And I thought it was huge for him. You know, and Eric kind of said it after the game. He's been working. Like, he knows he hasn't been playing as much or playing as well as he wanted. But he was like 4 of 24 on twos in SEC play going into Saturday's game, and then he was 7 of 9 inside the arc. So I feel like he got his aggressiveness back, his swagger back. He hit an and one, and he started talking into the baseline camera.
Love it. Which,
like, we haven't seen that kind of, like, juice from KB in a long time.
Yeah.
It feels like. And so it was good to see that. He's just got trouble. He's got issues with fouls. Has all year, fouls away from the ball way too much. But that was positive. And then Kai just played out of his mind again. Like, career high in points with 21. He had 9 boards too.
Yeah.
He was again, like you mentioned, after like that Missouri game, like that's one of the reasons they didn't go into the portal, you know, in the offseason to get another meatball.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they thought they could get that a little bit more often. He's been playing well. Great bounce back from him after getting just absolutely sunned the other night against Tennessee.
Yeah, what do you have, like 1.1 board?
Yeah,
that's tough. The thing I liked the most about Kai's performance was he took 12 shots.
Yeah.
He was 8 of 12 or whatever from the field. And I think the biggest thing with Kai, outside of, you know, like his blow-ups and maybe, you know, kind of losing focus from time to time, is I think people get frustrated because a lot of times he'll catch on the block or underneath and just spray that thing back out, and everybody's like, go up, go up.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, like he was going up in this game for sure. And maybe this is just a situation where you've got a dude who's in his final year of eligibility and his final month, you know, of college basketball.
Yep.
And he's thinking, well, this is it for me. Or, you know, or if I'm going to make some money overseas or whatever, or open some eyes, or just make the best of the end of my basketball career, now's the time to do it. And maybe he's just playing with just a little more intensity and some sense of urgency. I don't know, but I love it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Maybe a little bit of desperation in there too. And I saw a tweet that Mikkel played really well for UALR on the same day. That's always really cool to see.
That's cool, man. Yeah.
Just going back to KB for a second. You know, we got A&M. Arkansas's got A&M up next. When Arkansas played A&M here, KB did not play a second.
Oh wow!
Now, does he go from scoring 18 on a pretty tough physical Mississippi State team on the road to, like, what's his role against A&M? You know, like, and we could probably say the same thing for L. Ellis. You know, like, he played, contrary to the opinions of many on our live stream, I thought he played really well. He had 8-4, and I think, listen to this. So I looked this up. His 4 assists the other day were his most in a game since he had 6 against Duke.
There you go.
And he only had 1 turnover.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't help out defensively, like with blocks and steals or whatever, but I didn't think he stood out in, like, this really outlandish way.
No, not at all.
Defensively.
I actually thought, I remember on several occasions, this is just one part of defense, but I thought he was doing a really good job in his ball screen defense. Sometimes he was icing it and sending it the opposite direction, and I thought this was as good as I've seen him look, communicating those things when they were switching, and then on the occasions where he had to get over the top and recover. Like, from that standpoint, I thought he did good. Did he get beat off the bounce a few times? Yeah.
Sure.
Did Devo? Yeah.
Yes.
You know, anybody else? So sure, yeah. But I was impressed with L, and yeah, that was. I wonder if that was just like some randomness in our live stream, or if there were a lot of people who were just really thinking L cost him that game because he missed a free throw when they were down 3.
I would venture to guess that there's like a section of people that flipped the game on when he was at the line.
Yeah, must have been.
And they didn't really see just a whole lot else. And I mean, might be talking about just a handful of people there, but I mean, he did not. I was just like, that totally came out of left field for me.
Me too.
Like,
I mean, Musk said it was his best floor game that he's played. And I think I agree with that. And, you know, like he did miss that free throw then. But again, like, he could have gone up there and made both of those. Arkansas is still losing. And it extends the game, whatever. Yeah. He missed it, but he's also shooting well over 80% from the line on the year. He had the assist that tied the game with just over 3 minutes to play. He had a pair of go-ahead free throws with under 2 minutes to go, and he hit that runner in the lane with like 1:19 to go to put him in the lead again. So I don't think you can really put the blame on any individual player in this game or any moment really.
Yeah.
But if you're going to, for me, like it certainly wouldn't be LLS, I don't think. But there are probably games where you could do that, but not this one for L. So
for sure. And I'm not. I don't know if this is a good segue or not, but I did want to bring up Devo.
Yeah, it is a good segue.
In that game, 8 points, 3 of 6 from the floor, 2 of 3 from 3. So he made 2 of Arkansas's 3 threes.
Mm-hmm.
No rebounds, no assists, no steals, no blocks, and I've got him. He played 25 minutes. That's just, I wrote in my By the Numbers story, I was like, it's a rare, especially for him, stat line. Like he scored, he looked for a shot every now and then he was just like, he didn't give you anything, rebounds, assists, like that stunned me a little bit. What did you make of him? Because you look at the box score too, man, he's got the worst plus minus on the squad.
Mm-hmm.
Minus 11.
Outside of a three-pointer that I remember him making, I forgot he was out there. I just forgot he was out there. And it felt to me like a game that he was just kind of floating around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's weird because especially when, you know, you've got Minifield who's out in the second half because he had a hamstring or a groin or whatever it was. You have T. Mark who fouls out, and he didn't play well the entire game. You have Battle who fouled out down the stretch, and it's like, well, at least you got Devo. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Mr. March, like, this is his time to really step up and maybe take control of things in this game. Devo's name never crossed my mind down the stretch. I mean, we were talking about it during the live stream, and it was like, well, ball's got to be in L's hands, and you get it to Kai, you know, on a short roll, or kick out to Davenport for a 3.
Davenport's in a corner somewhere.
You know? Yeah. And I forgot Devo was even out there. So I mean, I do think that's kind of telling, honestly.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe it's a decent segue. Well, before we get to that, let me ask you this, because after the game, Muss was fairly animated about the free throw discrepancy being 32-19. I got to be honest with you, Scotty, like it really didn't stand out to me throughout the game. Like I see the discrepancy. I'm like, oh wow, they did shoot a lot of free throws compared to Arkansas, who makes their money off of that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, outside of when Chandler Lawson got that offensive rebound there late, I thought he got fouled.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember a lot of just glaring non-calls, and the fouls themselves. It was 25-20. Like, it wasn't crazy.
Right.
The discrepancy there. I don't know. Like, I didn't feel like there was any more than your normal amount of home cooking. Maybe. Did I miss something?
No, I feel like I'm the same way.
Yeah.
But because Eric brought it up, I mean, and I think that's kind of a coach's job is to fight for his guys and like, hey, I don't like going on the road and knowing that I'm, you know, going to shoot fewer free throws than the home squad.
Right.
But I looked at Arkansas's their free throw attempts on the road this year. They've played 6 road games in the league, and that was the second fewest they'd taken. I think the Ole Miss game on the road they took 18, and at Mississippi State they took 19. The 18 makes sense because that game got away, and you know you're refs are swallowing whistles ready to get home. You know, but I thought Arkansas did a good job of, like, after not getting to the line much in the first half, they got there 15 times in the second.
It's a healthy number.
So yeah, 15's a good number. I feel like with the 3-point attempts in the first half, that contributed to it.
I think so. Yeah.
Like, if you're taking threes, you're probably not penetrating and getting to the line.
Right.
It's just one of those deals. And so I think the halftime adjustment was, you know, getting to the teeth of the defense. Make officials, you know, make a decision. Yeah,
and I didn't think. I mean, 32 is a lot of free throws, but I didn't think it was an outrageous amount that Mississippi State got. I do remember one, like, continuation and one that they got where I was like, come on, man, this ain't, you know. It was a deal where, you know, the dude left his feet and there was the contact, and then he landed and put up the little floater, and they gave him, like, it was a very NBA type of continuation.
Sure.
That was one that stood out to me. But yeah, I don't think I was sitting there screaming about it the entire game necessarily.
No, Arkansas was 2 of 11 from 3 in the first half, took 4 free throws. Yeah. Second half, you took 6 threes, and you got to the line 15 times.
There you go. There's your correlation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. But it didn't, and I think you're right. Like, the only one that really stands out to me was the Kai misses one of the few shots that he put up. Yeah. Lost in offensive rebounds, and there's like 2 or 3 guys around him.
Yeah.
And the ball like barely got to the rim. So I'm like, what's going on there? But that one's really about the only one that stands out.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I thought so too. And in fairness, like, it's not like Mississippi State was cashing in at the line.
Yeah, they were not.
They were really struggling there. And quite honestly, that's what, I shouldn't say it's what kept Arkansas in it, but it contributed for sure because, Arkansas was really struggling on the glass and in the paint there, especially in the first half. They picked it up after that. But, yeah, I mean, Mississippi State was getting the line. They weren't cashing in. So, I don't know. I didn't think that was maybe as big of a deal as Muss made it out to be, but I think I like the way he addressed it in terms of just saying a lot of respect for Chris Jans. He's a great defensive coach. They're known for playing physically, which usually leads to more fouls, and you're playing a team that draws a lot of them, so just find that strange.
Sure.
Okay, fine. But I don't know. I will say this. A lot of times when Arkansas gets a board late in the game and it's a one-possession game, Muss lets his guys play it out, and he didn't do that in this situation. He called timeout, and listen, maybe we can talk about exactly what happened there, but I'm talking about when they had it with about 23 seconds or so left. I thought he drew up a banger.
He did.
Like, I thought that set that they came out and ran was exactly what they needed, and they executed it. Just didn't maybe like I don't
know. I really don't know. In the last part of my by the numbers was Devo's plus minus.
Yeah.
And I didn't really hit on a whole lot. I was just like, hey, 8 points and nothing else is kind of odd for him. Can kind of be a Swiss Army knife type of player.
Mm-hmm.
Shocked he just didn't even grab a rebound or have an assist.
Right.
But like I mentioned earlier, made 2 of Arkansas's 3 threes at that point. L makes a perfect read on that play, and he sucked in everybody on that Mississippi State defense to the point that it would have been ill-advised to pitch it to Kai because he's got all this traffic in front of him.
Right.
Makes the right read, kicks to Devo on the left wing. Devo's defenders got his right foot on the SEC logo in the lane, and Devo didn't even think about taking that shot.
No, man.
And listen, I went to CBB Analytics and looked what Devo's done from the left wing this year. He's 1 for 11. Not great. Last year, though, 20 out of 50.
Yeah.
He's more than capable of taking that shot.
Right.
But I guess in his mind, he was like, we're down 1. We don't need a 3.
Right.
And we can try to drive the ball, penetrate, kick it to Kai. And Kai had, I think it was Josh Hubbard on his back. But then like Cam Matthews or somebody stuck their hand in there and poked the ball away.
Right.
I'm in the shoot the ball camp.
Shoot the ball.
Shoot the ball, Devo camp.
Or, when you have a defender who's scrambling like that on a closeout, just shoulder fake, lift those shoulders, and one dribble and pull up from the mid-range where you've been money your whole career,
exactly.
at least.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a 3, but I would have been a fan. We can play the results game or whatever.
Sure.
And I didn't like how the play turned out because they turned the ball over, but it's a wide open 3. You're the only guy that's on that day that seems like he can make one, put it up. So I was a little bit frustrated with that because I went back and watched that sequence today, and I thought this, like you just said, the set was great.
Yeah.
It had Chandler Lawson. He started in like that stack in front of the inbounder. Then he immediately ran in the left corner, and then when L drove, Lawson starts coming in from the corner to like set a back pick on somebody. So maybe they were expecting Devo to flare maybe more toward the corner, but that L found him on the wing wide open.
Yeah.
I love that play. It reminded me a little bit of that play that J.J. Redick and Tyrese Halliburton were talking about on Old Man in the 3. It's a variation of that, but it was like bigs kind of sucking in attention, and then another bigs kind of back pick for a guy, open 3 on the left side. You got the whole left side of the floor to yourself.
Yeah.
I loved it. I just take the shot,
dude.
Man.
I know, take the shot. And for those who a lot of people have talked about Muss's adjustments and in-game coaching and stuff this year, and there's been some weird developments. I'll admit that. But listen, he had some bangers, man. They had that set. I guess it was like right before that that I thought was brilliant, where they set the pin down screen for Kai to free him up to come and set the ball screen, where his defender just got screened, so he's not going to be able to get there in time to hedge.
Right.
And so that was great. And so you get him in that action. you don't get what you're looking for out of it, but then they reverse the ball, and then they get Kai coming back up for that dribble handoff action. So you get your best threat in middle pick and roll, which you've been killing with the whole game, and dribble handoff, which you've been killing with the whole game, in the same damn possession. I mean, that's really good stuff there. I mean, maybe you don't want Davenport being the guy coming off with that there.
Davenport understood the assignment, though. He knew where to go with the ball.
Yes, he did. That's exactly right. So, I mean, I got to give kudos there. You know, like, we've wondered what the heck is going on many times. Like, is this the Milwaukee Bucks offense? Like, what are they doing? Well, in this particular game, like, they drew up some really good stuff. I was impressed with it. That's
really good. Like, Eric has talked about, like, in college, your baseline out of bounds stuff's got to be really good. Yeah. In the NBA, your sideline out of bounds stuff's got to be excellent.
Yeah.
Sideline out of bounds stuff was really good.
Yeah.
It really was.
It's, dang, man, we have talked about, like, actual X's and O's. We just did chalk talk, maybe for the first time since we started this company. That was exciting.
That was good.
But you are 100% right. Like, take the shot. And I found it very interesting, and it's a good segue into maybe the next bit of stuff we want to talk about. I know you saw Mason Jones tweet after the game.
Yep.
And he said nobody wanted to take the shot, shake my head, should have won that game. I think he's right. Like, I don't, and in fairness, like, Jalen Graham's never seen a shot he doesn't like, and neither is Caleb Battle, and neither is Tremont Mark.
Not available.
Yep, and probably neither is Keon Minifield, not available.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they got out there with those dudes at the end. I don't think anybody really knew, like, who was supposed to take that shot. And maybe it's not nobody wanted to, but they just didn't know who was supposed to.
Right.
And everybody was kind of deferring. It was a weird sequence there.
Yeah, you just kind of make it like, here's the action that we want to get into, and then everything else is kind of just like play off of feel or instincts or just kind of impromptu. L made the right read. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that until I die.
He did, man.
He did what he was supposed to, and like it's really tough to get to that point, and two guys that really wanted that shot are just watching it all happen.
I know,
it's really tough.
Honestly,
I feel like I'm just going to keep repeating myself. I just wish Devo would have taken the shot.
I do too. When L was going downhill, I'm not going to lie, and everybody knows that I'm a fan of L. Ellis, but when he got downhill, I was like, he's about to throw up some BS, dude. I was like, he's going to throw up just a contested, off the mark shot, and it's going to really tick me off. And I'm not going to be able to defend him, but he didn't,
In my mind, he was going to pitch it to Kai in traffic.
Or that, yeah. Because he is the world's worst offender at, like, leaving his feet and then making the bad decision.
He had $1 for every time he's left his feet to make a pass would be not working here.
Right. Exactly.
I'd be set up somewhere real nice.
Right, man. So, no, he made a good read. Devo should have taken the shot. Mason Jones would have taken the shot.
And listen, the reason why I'm kind of frustrated that he didn't take the shot is because even if it doesn't go in, you're down 1.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still, after that sequence where Devo pitches it to Kai loses the ball, there's 7 seconds left.
Yeah, because they had, after they fouled and then there were the free throws, there was 7 seconds left. Yeah.
So I think, I can't remember what exactly I wrote,
Mississippi
but there
State fouled up 3.
Yeah, when Devo caught the ball, it was like 14.8 left on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if that shot misses and Mississippi State rebounds, probably more time on the clock than what actually happened.
Right.
Like there was like 7-7. There's probably close to 9 or 10 seconds left. So you could have bought yourself maybe a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Or Kai's been an animal on the glass, and again he had the Hubbard kid right in front of him. There's a little bit of a size difference there. If it's straight short, Kai could have gotten that put back. I mean, just put the shot up and see what happens.
Right. That's exactly right. Mississippi State fouled up 3. I know people that, like, I don't know, Muss doesn't like to do it. Analytics say what they say. I would have fouled up 3. I'd have done exactly what Chris Jans did, and it worked out for him.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. And and I was wholeheartedly expecting State to foul whoever it was bringing the ball up the floor.
Yeah.
And it was L. And if you're playing the numbers, like L's shooting 38% from 3 in the league.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy is that?
I know.
he's made as many threes as Caleb Battle has in league play.
Rumor has it he's a bucket.
That's
I don't
wild.
know.
Like he's shooting the ball well after a slow start, but I'm always fouling up 3 like that because You never know.
Right. And yeah, I think you have it's still tough because how much time was left on the clock when Elle was shooting those free throws? Like 3-point-something seconds.
So, yeah, I think so.
So, he missed the first one. That stinks. But let's say you make the first one. You're still down 2. You make the other one, and it's a 1-point game, and then you foul, and you still have to go, the length of the floor with probably, 2 seconds or so left. Like, you still have a chance. Like, you still have a chance to extend the game.
3.6 left.
Yeah. So, ideally he makes that shot there, but a tough situation, and the Hogs fall short. But I did think it was interesting to see some of the the former players that were weighing in on this. Like obviously Mason Jones was tuned in. I don't know if it was just coincidence or not, but like randomly right at the end of the game, Desi Sills tweeted. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He's like, Arkansas is in my blood. Arkansas will always be my home. I was born and raised there. Forever love, no matter what. He had the hog emoji.
Desi's my guy.
Desi would have taken that shot. He's a bucket.
Yeah, facts.
Certified.
He wouldn't have thought twice about it. Wouldn't have thought once about it. He's just putting it up.
But the biggest one that I found interesting and that I wanted to maybe dive into a little bit, Jimmy Whitt. And I thought this was really cool because he put out like a whole dossier on this team that was
spent some time on this one.
It was fascinating. But his tweet said, this is purely my own opinion on Arkansas basketball. No inside scoop, no coaches' meetings. Just my observations from the few games that I've watched. Also, if I messed up any names, I apologize, which he did. We'll get to that in a second. But he said the goal is to get 90-plus points per game. And so his whole theme here is like he thinks these dudes need to be cooking, running.
Yeah.
But he kind of like listed out his rotation. For starters, he had Kai, Devo, L. Ellis, Tremont Mark, and then Brazil. So I don't know if the dude's playing his own ball, so he's probably not fully aware of Brazil's status. Obviously, he's out. With the subs being Jalen Graham, Caleb Battle, and Keon Mansfield, also known as Minifield. But I get what he's saying. But to move further, he says his highest minute guys would be KB, Tremont Mark, and Devo, which I don't think I disagree with that.
I don't either.
But he says start the game with the most experience, exploit the athletes you have in the first group, stay out of half court, increase the pace and the transition points. Love it. Forward to the offensive glass, so get or 4 guys to the offensive glass and send L back.
Yeah.
Half court, play through L. Ellis in the half court. Interesting. So people have been pretty upset, and there were a lot of people on our live stream saying he's not a point guard. He's not a point guard. And I don't disagree with that, but you don't have one, so somebody's got to do it. But you got Muss saying he played his best floor game. You got, another guy who in his first year was not a point guard but played the position, who's saying, hey, run the offense through L. Ellis in the half court and let him play more like he did at Louisville. Look to score first and make plays second. Very interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
I thought with that.
Do you think that was very, I don't want to say prisoner of the moment, but just watching that game,
probably,
Elle was cooking.
Right.
Especially like in that, like you mentioned, the middle pick and roll and getting downhill and then making decisions from there. But yeah, I don't entirely hate that.
I like the idea of them playing fast, especially like if you watch yesterday's game, then they're very undersized and everything, and they got 4 guards out there, kind of like what they dealt with when he was a senior at Arkansas. Sure, like get after it. Why not?
Yeah. I don't know that you want to cut him loose entirely like he was at Louisville, because I don't know necessarily that you would want him to, unless he's just like red hot. Like I don't know that you want him leading your team in field goal attempts. You know what I mean? And if he's playing freely, probably going to be some turnovers in there. People are going to hate that, and it's probably not going to take much for Eric to pull him.
Probably not
at that point.
My question is, what's the alternative?
Yeah.
I
still would love to see the ball in KB's hands more.
Well, I'm glad you said that because he did go on to say Mark is good enough to score on his own. Agreed. But he's just a black hole. Like it's incredible how stagnant things are.
Yeah,
when he's out there, and I love him, but especially when they put him on the ball, like it's nuts. Yep. Sometimes you don't have a choice, man, because he's the guy who can create and get you buckets. You have to do it. If there's a way to get him like just more through the flow of things, that I would love that. But yeah, he's good enough to score on his own. So to me, he strikes me as the guy where you get into your initial set or get out of your primary break and nothing's going. Cool. Get T-Mark the ball and get out of his way, Mason Jones style.
Yeah,
great. But then he said subs. So going to the bench, he said play battle like J.R. Smith. Look to score, look to shoot. And so I think that goes, yes, I think that goes directly to your point. Put the ball in KB's hands and let him rock a little bit. And maybe, he's starting right now. We know Muss is going to change the lineup Tuesday.
Yeah, facts.
But yeah, like if he's the guy who comes in with that second unit and it's kind of J.R. Smith or J.D. Note or whatever, like, hey, you come in and it's microwave season, buddy.
Yeah,
get after it.
Yeah.
I think I like it. And like Coach Jimmy Whitt,
Yeah.
But he says battles, play like J.R. Smith, look to score and shoot. Minifield keeps guys happy, play makes, and he's aggressive when he can be. And I see that because I think he is a fairly well-rounded as a playmaker. He gets other guys involved. The ball moves better when he's in there.
For sure.
And then his in-game lineup, he's got Battle, Devo, Mark, again, TB, and then either L or Kai, I guess, depending on what you're working with matchup-wise. But,
Yeah. Yeah, so you probably throw Kai in there instead of TB, and so you got L, Kai, Mark, Devo, Battle. Like, that would have been the lineup yesterday had two guys not been in foul trouble.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Clearly,
that's
hands
exactly
down,
right.
That would have been it.
I think we got to give a shout-out to Jimmy Whitt for, it's. I'm sure he hasn't watched every single minute this season. He even said that. He's watched a few games or whatever, but, he's got some good ideas there.
Finished the game leaning on our best scorers, Battle and Mark. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
and love to do that.
At this rate, I'm not opposed to like having L initiate, and then maybe because he's shooting the three fairly well right now, stash him somewhere.
Yeah,
and then if they close out hard on you, try to make a play off the dribble, collapse the defense, find somebody, spray the ball out for a three, or get the ball to Kai around the rim. Like that's what you're trying to do is put pressure on the defense and be hard to guard.
Yeah.
And Arkansas just hasn't been that. But I think that's a pretty dadgum good lineup to like if things are humming, right? Like
sure.
Like if you're committed to sharing the ball and not being a black hole or having the ball stick somewhere, like that could be a tough lineup to defend.
How many shots did L take yesterday? Do you know?
Off the top of my head, I don't
feel like it was that many.
He took 6.
Yeah. I like that. Mm-hmm. More than, I think the way he's playing right now, I like, because I do think there's a good balance between, the shots that he's taken. And really it's been, I think lately, like open threes and downhill. And I like that. And he has, he's gotten to a run there for a while when he was getting his minutes or he was really trying to force it. And I think he's probably just trying to cement his spot or whatever.
Yeah.
And that looked like Louisville L that I didn't like. I actually like this balance better, but I do like the idea of playing through him a little bit more.
Sure. Last 3 games since the back-to-back DMPs, I think he's about 10 points. He's close to 10 points a game, 6 of 11 on twos, and 5 of 11 from 3.
Okay.
And 8 assists, 5 turnovers.
Yeah, I mean
the assist to turnover ratio could be better, but I mean not many guys are.
Right.
Exactly racking up assists on this squad.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's not like they're making a bunch of shots either. So, so I thought that was interesting. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and then we can move on to some Texas A&M stuff here and wrap it up. Essentially Arkansas was working with Kai and Claw down there in the post, but we did see a few minutes from Bay Fall at the end of the first half. Did. And listen, let me be clear. Like, he's not ready. He's still very raw. He's still very skinny. The game's still moving very fast for him. But what do you have to lose at this point to just give that kid a look? And I'm not saying start him and, play him 25 minutes and see what you got.
Yeah.
But give him a rotation, in the first half every game and just see what you got and get his feet wet a little bit.
Sure.
And see if he can make an impact on defense and start building a little bit of confidence. And if you're playing small, see if he can rim run and maybe you can get him a lob and get him going some. He's still getting bullied down there. He's got to put on a lot of weight. but why not? Because I think you're to the point in the season where you really have to start to figure out, is this going to be a guy for us moving forward where we're going to continue this project and this development or not? And
Sure.
there's no way you can find that out unless you just start throwing them out there. What's it going to hurt for Bayfall to play 5 to 7 minutes per game moving forward? Just give him a look. Why not?
I'm good with that. And Eric gave him a shout out after the game. He was like, yeah, he contested a couple shots. And I loved it that he put the ball on the floor, even though he did, like, he got happy feet. So he got hit with a travel before that. But he was like, he caught the ball on a short roll, and he sees like a ton of space in front of him. So he's like, I'm not about to pull up. And so he took the ball to the rim, nice little finger roll. Blocked his first shot since what game?
North Carolina in the Bahamas.
Armando Bacot.
Yes. And I was getting ready to go back to that and be like, we watched him up close and personal in that game.
We did, yeah.
And listen, you just can't teach that length and the way that he moves. Still very raw, but those are things that just not many people have. So, like, there's something to work with there, and that stuff plays right now, despite everything he needs to work on. And we saw that in that little spurt there in the North Carolina game, and I thought we saw it at the end of the first half against Mississippi State. Like, you know, you got 3 more years to work with him. I mean, I don't know. I just, at this point in the season, like, you're 12-13, you're 3-9 in the SEC. Why not? Just give him a little bit of run, see what you got.
Yeah, and if you don't like what you're getting effort-wise or intensity-wise from the guys who have far more experience, throw in a kid who might just be too young to know better, and he's just going to go all out.
Yes.
He's going to go all out, going to give you everything he has. Could, like, the nerves, get him into the wrong place faster? Sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you're not going to have to worry about him trying, and he's longer than a day at home alone with your kids.
That's a fact.
And
it's crazy.
I would love to see him, just be able to stretch his legs. Arkansas gets a transition opportunity. Run, big fella.
Run that floor, man.
And, maybe he plays the trail, see if he's got a jumper in him.
Yeah.
Or
they said he did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't get to the rim, pull up to that free throw line, knock it down, make them respect it. But yeah. I'm with you. I just kind of want him to tap into that maybe a little bit more.
I mean,
especially if, like, Graham and TB are going to continue to be out,
Yeah, and, like, practice is great. Like, he's playing against the other guys, weight room, development, all those things. But the game itself, like, it's not going to slow down for you until you play in it.
Sure.
And so, why not? What do they have left? I mean, they're not six SEC games left in the regular season. Get them in there. Get them in there a little bit. See what you got. I think I'm all for it. Team Bayfall.
Do you think you should against A&M?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, that's really where you're gonna see what you're kind of made of.
Yeah.
And then maybe we see a little bit more extended stuff against Missouri, Vandy, that kind of a vibe. I think he could.
I think especially if you don't have Graham against A&M, and you're kind of in that weird position again. Maybe you go. You start Chandler Lawson again, and you get Kai in there, and maybe you want to avoid them both getting 2 fouls in the first 10 minutes of the half, and it's like coming out of the under 12, you throw Bayfall in there and just give him a few minutes.
Yeah, steal
just
some
get him out of
minutes
there
for Chandler. Yeah,
yeah, why not? I hope they do it. I don't know if he will, but I hope they do. So, but yeah, speaking of Texas A&M, we can get into that real quick. Arkansas already beat them once. They completely manhandled them in the first half of that game. Arkansas got up by 20 in Bud Walton Arena, completely choked away the lead. Wade Taylor's 41st point was what put them ahead in the final seconds, but Tremont Mark got the game winner there near the buzzer. They didn't have Henry Coleman that game. I don't know if they have him back yet or not. I
don't know.
I think maybe they do. Obviously, this is a building in Reed Arena where Eric Musselman has never won. Arkansas hasn't won there since 2019. And Texas A&M, similar to Mississippi State, they're actually even more so. Their backs are very much up against the wall in terms of their NCAA tournament resume. So I have a feeling they're going to be hungry and highly motivated because Arkansas could nearly eliminate them or push them off the bubble there.
You got to go get some games back after you lose to Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they lost Saturday too
to Bama. Gave up 100 to Bama.
Oh, that's right. They got punked by Bama. So
sure did.
They've got some work to do. So I imagine they're going to be ready to play. I don't know about you, Scotty, but like I just can't bring myself to take anything that happened on Saturday at Mississippi State and translate it to Tuesday against Texas A&M because they haven't carried over, good or bad, really, from game to game.
Sure.
It's been very inconsistent. So I have no expectations going into this other than I think A&M is going to play a lot better than they did in Fayetteville. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I think what we'll see in the first half Tuesday is more second half A&M from the game in Bud. That team's got to be playing with a lot of urgency, and they tend to make shots, and teams are just more comfortable at home. Mm-hmm. I don't know that. Like I expect A&M to miss a lot of shots and rebound a lot of their own misses, and I would imagine Anderson Garcia is going to be right in the middle of it, and it's going to be another one of those cases where maybe can Arkansas tie one of their hands behind their back. Like Radford was dreadful.
I was going to say, was he like 3 of 16 or
bad.
Like it was crazy?
Yeah, it was bad when he was in Bud. But Wade Taylor goes for 41 and makes up for a lot of that, which is still insane to say.
Yeah. And Arkansas is not going to contain him. I'm not saying he's going to go for 41 again, but he'll score as many as he wants. Like, he just will. Yeah. I don't care who they put on him. I don't care if it's vintage Devo. Wade Taylor is going to cook him if he wants to. Yeah. He's just that good. So you gotta take something else away. Can they do as good of a job on Radford again? I don't know. You mentioned Anderson Garcia. How many rebounds did he have in that game against Arkansas? Like,
I think he
13, 14.
He's on the other side of the board.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, he had 12, 5 offensive.
Okay, yeah, and so he's all over the boards. And you think about, what Muss was saying after the game on Saturday, where he was like, we did not have a power forward active on our roster, and Cam Matthews torched us. Anderson Garcia is like baby Dennis Rodman on the glass. Like it's insane. Yeah. He might get 20 rebounds in this game if they don't have. It probably doesn't matter if they have Graham back or not, really. Yeah. But I
mean, he's not gonna slow one of the best offensive rebounders in the country down.
Like second chance points are gonna be a big key here.
Let me run through his offensive boards just real fast. In league games: 8, 2, 9, 8, 4, 3, 2, 6, 5, 4, 6, 3.
And I heard you, but to clarify, you said offensive boards.
Offensive rebounds.
Yeah, okay.
That's just offensive boards. Last at Bama, he had 12 boards, and then 6, and then 17, and 16. And so that was against Missouri and Tennessee. He had 17 boards against Tennessee.
That's
Tennessee's got dudes. Yeah. Like the dudes, all caps. Yeah. And he went for 17 boards against them. So he's serious.
There's a reason why he's high on our big board.
For sure.
For portal season.
For sure, yeah. Throw a bag at the guy that can go get you a miss.
Ooh, buddy.
When you can't shoot well. But yeah, they're legit best offensive rebounding team in the country. Like hands down. Hands down. I don't know how, but they got a nose for misses.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
I don't know if there's a science to it, but if there is, Buzz is probably all over it.
No kidding.
It's just who he is.
And Arkansas, they have to win that game to have any chance of avoiding playing Wednesday night at the SEC tournament. Yeah. They just do. Like if they lose that game, it's just go ahead and if you're headed to Nashville for the SEC tournament, just go ahead and book a room and your tickets for Wednesday because you're going to be playing on that day. They probably are going to be anyway at this point. Yeah. But you got to get this one. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, right now looks like the Wednesday night game would be Georgia, Missouri, and then Arkansas, Vandy.
Yeah.
So neutral site game in Nashville against the hometown squad.
Can't wait. Yeah, because LSU's win over South Carolina. Wow, by the way. That hurts Arkansas and their chances of getting out of the Wednesday games there. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. I have no idea what to expect from Arkansas. I am very excited that we will be live streaming that game from Flyway Brewing.
Super excited about that
in Fayetteville. So I think everybody needs to pop out for that, and hopefully it's just as exciting as we had Saturday because we've had all these live streams that have they've been fun, but they've sucked in terms of the games being
city.
blowouts. Yeah, and so this close one against Mississippi State was fun. If we could get that when we're going live out at Flyway, I think that'd be pretty sweet. But we gotta bring back the vibes. You know, I thought we did the Feel Good Friday segment for Mississippi State. Then what happens? Arkansas goes out there, they lost, but they played great, and I felt pretty good after that game, and I felt pretty good going into it. So we're gonna do Monday memories for Texas A&M. Arkansas hasn't won in Texas A&M in a minute since 2019, but you know, I've immediately when I think about games that I have covered specifically, and the two things that came to my mind first was, do you remember when Stanley Umude dunked the lights out on him?
Had that written down. In
overtime at Bud Walton Arena. I mean, that was incredible. Did the dunk count?
It did count, and I think they put a little bit of time back on the clock after they got the lights to come back on.
Yeah, just tremendous because, man, like Texas A&M was just such a tough matchup for Arkansas, and they have been since Buzz Williams has been there, and really before that even. But
just always played Arkansas tough and Bud.
Yeah, and that game goes to overtime, and you're just like, this is not the one I thought Arkansas was going to lose, but they figured out there at the end, and South Dakota Stan got the dunk, and the lights go out prematurely in Bud Walton. That was incredible. And then obviously the COVID year where Arkansas Texas A&M got canceled twice, and then it was the makeup game that they put on the schedule. And A&M had kind of stunk all year, and they were playing at one of the slowest paces in the country. And I remember they walked into Bud, and they were playing like lightning speed in that game, and they're running up and down the floor, they're making threes, and they had Arkansas on the ropes, brother, really in Bud Walton that day. But got the big steal on that side inbounds, and Justin Smith had the big dunk at the end, and they kind of stole that one.
I had that one down too. Moses Moody made a three with 53 seconds left. They were down 2 in the last minute. He hit that one. He had finished with 28 that day,
and he blocked that dunk right after that. You remember that? I can't remember who the dude was for A&M, but it was one of their better players for a minute there.
Could it have been Emmanuel Miller?
I think maybe it was. Yeah, and he just went in.
Dude, that was fun to watch.
Yeah,
my God.
He went in and tried to hammer one, and Moses denied him at the rim. And then now was that Justin Smith? Was that a windmill at the end of the game?
I think he did break out the windmill.
I think he did windmill then.
Yeah.
God, great times.
I remember a picture from that game, and either Devo was standing, or maybe I'm thinking about the LSU game where there was a punctuation windmill dunk or something.
Yeah.
I remember it was either that game or the LSU game, but Devo was back behind him just like loving every second of it.
I remember that.
Screaming his head off.
Iconic photo.
For sure. Man. The only other one the other one that I had, I literally had the ones that you said written down. Football. 2013.
Okay.
Dietrich Wise sacks Johnny Manziel in Razorback Stadium. It's raining, cats and dogs, and got the crowd fired up.
Yeah.
Dietrich Wise hit the Kappa shimmy after sacking Johnny Manziel. And shout out to Tom Murphy. I found a story that he wrote in the ADG from October 1st, 2013, and it was about the sack on Manziel. I'm going to read this, but the post-play antics didn't escape the notice of defensive line coach Charlie Partridge and head coach Brett Bielema. Quote, disappointed in that reaction, Partridge said on Sunday. I'm all for fun, but don't want to do things that draw attention to them as an individual.
Oh, come on, man.
How whack is that, dude?
That just deflated my balloon.
Yeah. And he said, and then story continues. Partridge said he had a, quote, hard conversation with Wise about the dance on Sunday. Bielema said Monday he would be surprised if Wise repeated the move. These dudes are just a bunch of fun suckers.
Yeah.
That was,
come on,
like, that
dude.
is literally the only thing I remember from that football game other than Mike Evans absolutely mossing Arkansas secondary.
Yeah.
Like, Johnny Manziel had Mike Evans, like, absolute extraterrestrial wide receiver. But I remember the sack, the Kappa shimmy. It was electric. And then you get told not to do it anymore. Because there's another quote in here. It says, I love their spirit, their energy, and all that jazz. This is Bielema saying this. But when you're playing a no-huddle offense, you make a big play and you spend 5 seconds high-fiving each other. That's 5 seconds you're not getting lined up.
Oh, my gosh, man.
Just
get out of here with that. Yeah, come on. You know where I was that year when I saw Johnny Manziel live? I was at Mizzou.
Okay.
And it was a very good Mizzou football team and obviously a very good A&M team. And I went with my dad. And you've been to Mizzou.
Yeah.
And I had like the hill with the rocks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were out there. We were sitting there. And just watching the game. He was cheering. I was enjoying some college football. And Missouri beat Texas A&M that game. And that was my first field storming experience because you just get pushed out there. Like it was like this overwhelming wave out onto the field because you just beat Johnny football. It was a big, they might have won them the East or something. I don't remember because I don't care about Mizzou football.
Gary Pinkel was the coach then.
He was. And there's like no way to avoid it.
Yeah.
Because we're about halfway up that hill and you're just getting bum rushed. Like you either get trampled or you got to go.
Yeah.
And so, that was my Johnny football experience that year.
Awesome.
It was freaking crazy. But if I have to watch Mizzou win, if it comes at the expense of a Texas A&M loss,
hey,
I can live with that. Yeah. So
shout out to Mizzou for that one.
Yeah, exactly. Before we get out of here, Scotty, I do want to do a little big board update, portal big board update.
All
right. First of all, folks, if you haven't done so already, by the time this podcast hits your feeds, we're going to have our big board in written form on the website. So get over to nattystatesports.com and check that out. And it's not just a list of written names. I mean, we got a lot going on here. We've got stats. We've got build, which is fun. I think you guys will appreciate that. We've got the measurables for these guys and just some individual notes, whether it's what they've done against Arkansas or some particular games that stand out, or just why we think
just
that these might be guys who
why
could
they're
be
up there.
Yeah, why they're up there, why they could be headed to the portal, why they would be a good fit. I think it's pretty cool, and I think people would appreciate that. So make sure you get over and check that out. Mississippi State. Do we have an addition for from the Bulldogs to the board? What do you think?
I mean, if you're going to add somebody, it's going to be Josh Hubbard.
I think so.
It would be Josh Hubbard for me. I mean, he finished with 19 on 18 shots or something like that.
Yeah, he was inefficient, but he made all but one of their 3-pointers, right?
Yeah, he was 3 of 10. As a team, they were 4 of 15. So he was putting them up.
And he's a good player though, stocky guard.
Very good.
He's pretty dynamic. I liked him a lot. Freshman. So that helps.
The only thing that maybe gives you a little bit of pause is he's 5'10", $185. But the kid is fearless.
Yeah, he is.
He really is.
He knows how to defend. If he didn't, he wouldn't be playing for Chris Jans.
And listen, he's made himself super comfortable in that program. He's top 20 in the country in percentage of shots taken as a freshman on a team that's got Tolu Smith on it.
He's chucking
and Shaquille Moore and Cam Matthews, DJ Jeffries, a bunch of dudes that would probably pop you if you take a bad shot one too many times. And he's still putting shots up. That boy ain't scared of nothing.
There you go. Mason Jones.
Yeah.
He will take that
Mason
shot.
Jones. That's his build.
We're going to have to look at it maybe a little bit deeper, but I think probably, we've been identifying schools that might be, dealing with the coaching carousel. Indiana is probably one that's nearing that list because the Mike Woodson experiment, man, it's just not going well. And I've heard a lot of rumblings about how they're very much interested and think they could get Dusty May from Florida Atlantic.
Well, what was he, a manager there?
Something. I don't know what the connection is there.
I feel like I remember hearing somebody say that he was a manager, maybe at IU or maybe it was just like at a Big Ten school. I think it was Indiana.
Yeah,
could be wrong.
And so what I've been hearing lately, and credit to Gary Parrish for this from the N College Basketball podcast, which is awesome, a really good listen. His whole thing was like Ohio State is targeting Dusty May, but if Indiana thinks he's that they can get him, then it's a situation of, do you try to tell Dusty May to wait, or do you move now? Because Ohio State already has in your conference by getting rid of Chris Holtman,
right?
And they just cut ties, with a guy like Woodson and try to make your move and get your guy in place and get out ahead of things. So I don't know what'll happen. We'll see. But like, they're not going to make the NCAA tournament this year. That's really not acceptable at Indiana
for sure.
Let's get this out of the way real quick. Khalil Ware, it ain't happening. He's not coming to Arkansas. Whether he hits the transfer portal again or not, I think he's probably just going to go to the NBA now. But stop. I don't want to hear it. We're not going to talk about it. Okay? Yeah. He's not doing it.
No kidding.
But I don't know about the rest of their roster. One guy that I immediately thought about, and I don't know what his pro prospects look like, but Malik Reneau, who's probably their best player this year, a pretty athletic, versatile forward for them, can do a lot of things. He was a guy who Arkansas was engaged with, Khalil Ware and some of these other guys in that class. Mm-hmm. But as soon as they started going out and recruiting on the EYBL, I mentioned like Kansas State's R.J. Jones, where I said, I was with Gus Arginal, and he was like, hey, we love this kid, but they got in on him late. Malik Reneau was that guy too, as far as big men were concerned, where they found him in the spring before his senior year, and they were like, this dude is him.
Yeah.
And they were very serious about him. He jumped up on the board quick, too little, too late. And I think they had him even set up maybe for a visit, or they were scheduling a visit, but he went ahead and announced his commitment after a visit to Indiana. So, if they lose their coach and he's still trying to play college basketball or collect an NIL bag or whatever, he's another one of those dudes that I would, if it was my money, I'd drop a pretty penny to get him. I'm just saying. So
yeah, 6'9", 233. There's a lot of things you can do with a dude that size.
Yeah, that'll play.
Scoring big man too.
Yep.
Looks like you get like 35% from three on volume, but Arkansas would kill for that.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah, exactly. They take that from their guards at this point. So
circle back to Dusty May for a second.
Yeah.
He's Indiana's his alma mater. And he served as a student manager at IU under Bob Knight.
There you go.
So those ties are pretty obvious.
And he's not coaching at Florida Atlantic next year. Like, he's just not.
Man, I just don't. Yeah.
So, Indiana's a better job than Ohio State basketball wise. No offense. But if I was Indiana, dude, like, and Parrish was kind of echoing this, I wouldn't risk it. Like, I wouldn't put all my eggs in the basket of thinking, oh, the alumni is just going to wait it out, until we open up. Like, if I think he's the guy, and I don't think Mike Woodson is, it's cutthroat business, man.
Yeah.
Like, you got to make the move.
Yeah.
And for Indiana basketball, like buyouts and all that stuff, it's not an issue. So if they want him, they could go get him.
Yeah.
And maybe they will. Yeah. And then we'll be talking about John L. Davis and Vlad Golden and all those guys too. So
playing in the Big Ten next year.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Probably so.
Yeah, just take that 1-2 duo with you.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, anything else? Scotty, you got anything else, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm just glad we had a competitive game for a live stream.
That was fun.
And I'm hoping for another one at Flyway Brewing.
Yes.
On Tuesday. Going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time period here. We're really excited about it. Obviously, like Scotty mentioned, we're going to be live for Tuesday's games from Flyway, and then we're going to be live from somewhere on Saturday. And I know Arkansas is playing a home game against Missouri, but we're going to be down in Arlington for the college baseball experience down there. They're going to be playing who they got, like Oklahoma State and Oregon State and Michigan. I think it's going to be pretty cool, but the show doesn't stop with basketball. So maybe it's going to be from an establishment down there somewhere, and we can find some Razorback fans in Arlington to hang out with while we watch the game and comment on some of that. Or maybe we're in one of the suites at Globe Life and we go live there. I don't know, but be on the lookout for that, because for those traveling down to Arlington on Saturday, we might have something cooking for you. We'll see what that looks like.
Whew. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Again, hopefully we get a good one on Tuesday, but you never know what to expect with this team. Regardless of that, we'll have another episode in your feeds on Wednesday. So appreciate everybody, as always, for tuning in. For Scottie Bordelon, it's been Curtis Wilkerson with Natty State Sports, and we will catch you next time on the pod at the Palace.